Welcome to Uncut Angling. I'm Aaron. Today, what I've got is 2 rattlebaits strapped on to 2 38-inch Frabill Gussie rods. I'm on the Red River North in Manitoba, and what I'm doing is I am double fisting these rattlebaits and focusing on deep water, suspended walleyes. So I'm going to be working the entire water column with these baits. Look at this mark. See that's blue? Blue is the weakest signal on the Humminbird, but the fact that it's flickering so much often means the fish is moving around a lot. And look at it now. Now it's developed into a giant red mark. Here's where we're happening. I've shaken it lots. Now I'm going to put the other rod down and I'm just going to tap this in this fish's, come back. I'm going to tap it in his face. There we go, got him. Perfect. That fish came right when I slowed this bait down for the final punch, and that is really the same whether you're using a jig and a minnow, a jigging spoon, no matter what. You've got that attraction stroke where you're ripping it hard and then you stop it to close the deal. And that's exactly what I did. Is I basically stopped it. I was holding on the spot relatively and just moving my rod a couple inches. And what that does on a bait like this jackal that's so nose heavy, you can see it's got a tungsten piece at the front there, is it kicks that tail up when I'm pounding it, and it's not moving far up and down, but it still has a flurry of action. So the fish isn't getting bored with it. He's staring at it. He sees that stuff's going on and he comes in and closes the deal. It's not uncommon to have these big fish using the whole water column, and you got to move up to a lot of those marks. A lot of those fish are in transit or just milling around, and they're not necessarily that active. So you got to move up to find one that's eager. This one's just taking a look at it right now. Big red boy here. I want him to come in just a little more. He's still blue and he's flickering away. Oh, never mind. Drop down. Here we go. This is heavy. This is heavy. I gotta get this deucer out. This is heavy. Feels like he might be hooked funny or something. Or else he's just really big, like real big. No, he's not huge, but definitely a nice big fish. Oh yeah. Yeah. Cool. Gorgeous. Just slapped at it there. Kicking that jackal on the spot, and you know that the tail on that bait is hitting the whole time. He's just barely hooked. The tail on that bait is just kicking in his face, and he reached out and grabbed it. I'm gonna put him right back in. Caught in the light, just a light shade of emerald. Dorsal's nice and spiky. This fish is all charged up. Look at that belly. There it goes. Just force a habit here. I pick my rod up immediately. I'm checking the drag, and the way I'm checking the drag is on a loaded rod. And this is something I do after almost every fish throughout the day, just out of force of habit, definitely at the start of the day. And the way you check your drag is you grab the lure and you, like I said, on a loaded rod, check that drag and make sure it's good. And this way we're also testing our knots. I've got a knot to my lure itself, and I've also got a knot up the line here where my Power Pro main line is connected to the fluorocarbon leader. And I get a great feel for how that's gonna be when a fish jerks. And you know, a short fight like that with a big fish, there's a ton of tension. So you really need to make sure that your drag is tight, but not too tight. This is the beauty. We got 2 baits. I'm working 2 totally different areas of the water column here. Oh. This is such a big mark. Come on. Such a big mark, and there's a second one. We're gonna get two jobbies going here. Come on. That bottom one was the deal. Top one's getting serious now. I can't believe that bottom one's gone. Okay, well, top one looks just as big. We'll take this one. Come on. Fucking Bronco. Oh yeah. Come on. Oh yeah. Was that ever a giant mark? And that was not the same mark I was working on the other rod. That other mark on the other rod was lower. Oh, don't come up too fast. I want him to be tired out a bit because this is feeling like a big fish. Ooh, it's tangled with my other one, but it's big. That is sloppy. Look at all these lines everywhere. Okay, here we go. Oh yeah. Big fatty. Man, was that ever hectic with 2 giant marks on the screen like that? Okay, this big girl deserves to get right back in the water immediately. Oh yeah, look at that gorgeous fish. Huge back, just filling up that hole. And she waves goodbye. Yes! Okay, I'm gonna show you one other cool tip that I'm doing here. This is something you can do with any rattle bait to just prevent tangling. And what I've got is a piece of shrink tubing on that back hook. And that way when the bait is jerking like this, as you're pounding it on the spot, this is especially for pounding on the spot, that hook isn't gonna grab your main line. And if you've done any rattle bait fishing, you know it's pretty common when you're working the bait that it hooks onto the main line. You can give it a flick and it'll come off usually pretty easily. It's not that big of a deal, but if it happens at a critical moment, it's very frustrating. So I'm gonna show you, well, it's pretty simple basically. What I've got here is 1/8 inch shrink tubing. This is a size that works pretty good for this. I'm gonna pop the back hook off of the bait. So I'm gonna cut the piece that I think I need for this size of treble hook. It's about like that. I'm gonna put it back down the collar of the treble hook. So now I'm gonna slide that hook back onto the split ring here. There you go. It's gonna take some massaging because this is a small size, but I'm gonna push it up over top of this split ring and the eye there. So now it's covering that whole hook assembly there. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a lighter and give it a twist here. It just takes a little bit. So you see that is a nice clean presentation now. That hook's erect, and it actually seems to make a pretty big difference for hookups because now when a fish comes up to it, he can't crumple that treble into the body. That treble stays put and it seems to help with hookups. The other thing is, if there's any tag end left off of that shrink tubing, it's amazing how much that'll hamper the action of this bait. And it's the same thing when you tip these baits with a minnow or something. You're just slowing the bait down. I've got no minnows with me, frozen or live, on the ice today. It's all about the rattle baits. It's all about ripping and working that whole water column, and bait would only be slowing us down right now.